Good morning. Welcome, folks, to our spotlight. Today we are featuring Jeff Feely, who is the Career Development Consultant for the Prairie South School Division. If you are a student watching this video, please go to the RDIEC website and fill in the survey, which helps us improve this and also gives you an opportunity to win a $50 gift certificate. With that, I will pass it on to Jeff.
Thanks, Brett. So I'm a career development consultant. I'm in my 26th year of teaching. I live in Assiniboia, based out of there. I started teaching when I was started teaching on Cody First Nation. Then I moved to Limerick for 10 years. I was principal for 7 of those. And during that time, I taught industrial arts, history, English, social studies, a bunch of other things. Career and work is one of them, which I ended up being involved in later on. And then the career development consultant gig first started for me in 2007. I did it for 10 years. 2 of them were half-time and the rest were full-time. And then through a series of cuts and things that happened, I was back in a classroom in 2017. And then this job came open again in 2020. So I applied for it and was able to get it. So I've been back at it for about 1.5 years. In terms of duties and the things that I do on a regular basis, the primary thing that I would say I spend my time doing is career counseling. I've got 18 different schools in Prairie South, got a little map up there and you can see the locations, and I'll see usually about 350 students in a year. I always invite the parents to attend and usually makes for a better meeting. And we talk about everything kids need to know about it, making decisions after grade 12, going into the workforce. Some kids go into the military, university, or technical school like Sask Polytech or apprenticeship or whatever happens, whatever the interest areas are. Another one of the duties that I have is to keep up to date with post-secondary information because it changes quite frequently. Sometimes they send out information. Most of them are good at sending out information to us about different things that are going on, but a lot of times you have to dig for it. And then I put together a newsletter every month that goes on the Prairie South site. That information goes out on the website, and then we email it out to students and parents in grade 10, 11, and 12. Another major part of the job is to update the handouts and the things on the Prairie South site. So there's a career development tab under the student tab, and I add things there all the time to help students and parents hopefully make good decisions about what to do after grade 12. Another part of my job is to help teachers who are new to career and work exploration. So that's work experience, and I support them if they need help. If they're new to it, I'll go through, we've got a binder of information for the procedures and ways of doing things. Usually to get started, once you've taught it a couple of times, it's a lot, you kind of get the hang of it, but at the beginning it's a little more difficult for people. So I go through the things that they need to know how to teach the course. Another component of this job is also the practical and applied arts equipment. We have some stuff that the school division has purchased, and then those things get distributed when people contact me, and then I make sure that they get things out in their hands. There's wall framing kit. We have some sewing machines that people can borrow. There's a construction kit and some camera kits and things like that. And when COVID restrictions will allow it, hopefully we'll be able to do this sometime soon. There are events that we have planned over the years to give students information on all kinds of different fields. So things like information technology, agriculture, water engineering, computer engineering technology. These are kind of a full day workshop for students. And we get people in different areas, people in different areas of expertise to teach students and show them the ropes and get them to understand a little bit more about those areas. Get a little bit of career planning involved. Some of the maybe more unknown things that I end up doing, I do a lot of photocopying and getting packages of information together for students and their parents. Although we are allegedly moving to a paperless world, we're not anywhere near there yet. And most of the time, it's nice for people to walk away with a piece of paper I use the internet a lot, but we certainly do. I bring a stack of paper to give to students and parents and give them something they can take away. Another thing that I will do is to, and you can kind of see my little closet there of stuff on the screen on the right, picture on the right, there's certificate frames and gifts for the employers who take work experience students. So that's kind of a nice thing to be able to thank our employers when they take a student. And then another thing that is kind of behind the scenes, the juggling of the schedules. I usually do my best to make sure that I'm showing up at the right school at the right time. Usually I have about a 72% accuracy rate. Usually about 72% of the time I show up at the right place at the right time, which is nice. But it's one of those things that's sometimes a little bit difficult. In terms of equipment, probably the number one thing that I need to use on a daily basis is my computer. I haul around my laptop and I go to see students. When I go to see students, I will use it a great deal when we're going through the stuff on the division website or going through post-secondary information or saskjobs.ca or different sites, Sask Apprenticeship and Regina District and Industry Education Council, all kinds of different places that we go to show students career-related resources. Probably my next most important thing is my car. And I showed you the map earlier, put it up there again, all those little pink or purple dots there, those are the places I need to go. So I put on about 2,500 kilometers a month to go to different schools, and takes a little while to get there, but with that kind of power under the hood, it's pretty much instantaneous that I'm arrive at my destination. In terms of space, down in the bowels of Assiniboia Composite High School, right between the executive lounge and the billiards room is my office. Well, not quite, but somewhere in there. So I've got I got the headquarters, the world headquarters of Prairie South Career Development is located at Assiniboia Composite High School. So I work out of the office when I'm getting ready for getting photocopying ready, or doing stuff to get ready to go out to schools, and then I'm on the road visiting students and parents. And when I'm doing that, then I usually get a room somewhere with a table and a chair or two, and we just sit and have conversations about what students are going to do after grade 12. Some of the more rewarding things out of this job, I would say planning for life after grade 12 can be really confusing and difficult for people. Some parents have gone to university, some haven't, some have gone to tech school, some haven't. But even if they did go to post-secondary, a lot of times it was a while ago and things change so quickly with post-secondary that it's really difficult to keep up with things. So I take a lot of pride in being able to give parents answers to questions and students answers to questions. And if I can't find the answer, or if I don't know the answer, I'll find it. I find that explaining these things and getting that information to them is pretty rewarding for me. When I meet with them, students in grade 11, when they're in grade 11, I'll provide them with information about things that they need to do before I meet them again. So when they follow instructions and I have a second meeting with them and I found out that they did this and this and this and all those things that I told them to do, that's really rewarding. It makes their life a lot easier. It makes things easier for me, but I like making things easier for other people. So I enjoy it when they have all their stuff prepped for getting ready to roll in grade 12. I love it when students get scholarships. It just gets me thoroughly thrilled when I have students tell me, oh, I have applied for this many, and I've gotten this many, and things like that. I really like helping students save money, make money when they go to go do things like youth apprenticeship or things like that can save them some time and money. And then finding their passion. When students find their passion, sometimes it's difficult for them to know what it is that they want to do, and they've been thinking about it for a long time, and they've been talking about it. And sometimes it happens when we're having a meeting and kind of the light goes on for them, and sometimes it doesn't. But regardless, it can be a time-consuming thing. So when they're doing the research and they spend time at it and they've worked hard and they figure out, yeah, this is really what I want to do, it's pretty rewarding for them, but also it's rewarding for me to be able to watch them have that light come on and figure out what they want to do. And I like taking work away from people. When I was a principal in a K-12 school, there was no career counseling. I talked to the students in grade 12 for about 2 minutes each and found out, you know what you need to do next year? Yep. Or you know where you're going? Yep. Okay, good, get out. And I'll talk to the next one. And that was the extent of career counseling that they got at that time. But after we amalgamated in 2006, positions like this became available for for students to be able to help or get some help figuring out what they want to do. And I feel really good in doing this job that principals now don't have to spend that much time like we tried to before. Some of them did a lot better job than I did because I was terrible at it, but a lot of people I think are get a lot of benefit out of having somebody like me come in to help them or help their kids figure out what they want to do. So if I can lighten their workload a little bit, that makes me happy. There's a few little stressors along the way, nothing too major, but sometimes the weather gets to be a bit of a problem. You'll notice in that picture at the top that there's no Chevy Impala in there. It's just all trucks and stuff. So I just float over the snow. Sometimes keeping my schedule organized can be difficult, but it's sending an email invitation out to parents. Sometimes they get back to you, sometimes they don't. And when you have to follow up and things like that, sometimes it's hard to track people down and you play phone tag and things like that. I always get information from post-secondary institutions, usually, or in many cases, it's just a day or two or a week or two after I send out the newsletter and get it all done up. So I've kind of changed the newsletter timeline around so that now as I get new information, I'll just update the website version of it. And it might not be the best way to do it, but I don't know exactly how to get that information out to people without having to wait for the following month. So it's nice. I always make sure that it's out at the end of the month for the information and the stuff that people need to know for the month coming up. So now I just update it as we go. And then some institutions, post-secondary institutions, are really good at treating students like a number, not like a person. And that's not very good. I want them to treat students like a person. I don't want to hear stories. I hear stories from parents of kids I did career counseling with earlier, and they said, yeah, this happened or that happened, and that's really disappointing to me. So I don't like when that happens. There are some that are really good. I know in one case, some of the people I've had experience with at the U of R have been really good for doing some of these things. So it's really nice to see students having a positive experience in post-secondary and starting and finishing a program. So it's rewarding to see that. On the flip side, again, the challenge, to me, that's a little bit of a stressor in my part. I don't want to say, yeah, this is a good place to go, and then they don't have a positive experience. So that's kind of a negative, but it's pretty rare for that to happen. In terms of professional development, I do get a lot of information from post-secondary institutions. Sometimes keeping up with them is difficult, but generally they will pass on information to career counselors, and that's always handy. Every teacher in the province in a government school is a member of the STF, so that's part of I'm part of the Saskatchewan Teachers Federation automatically as someone who teaches in a government school. And then in terms of voluntary kind of associations, I'm a member of SCWEA, which is the Saskatchewan Career and Work Education Association. And that is an organization that supports career education, career counseling, work education, things like that. And it helps people like me learn lots of different pieces of information about career related things. So there's conferences when they're a little more difficult with COVID, but when you can have an in-person conference and meet new people and learn about things that people are doing across the province and around the country, it's very helpful. Helps you do your job a little bit better. In terms of salary, I'm paid as a teacher, and salary range is somewhere between $56,000 and $87,700 after you top out if you have a 4-year degree. and you top out after 11 years. And in our division and some others, there is some extra compensation. So because we do things kind of after hours, we're mandated to have kind of an office time. Then, and so we're not like just a straight up 9 to 3:30 kind of thing. Extra travel and some of those kinds of things. Our school division pays an extra 10% of the maximum of what a class 7 or class 6 teacher would receive. So in my case, it works out to about $9,600 before taxes. All teachers in the province are covered under the medical and dental benefits that, if they're a member of the SDF. And in terms of holidays and stuff, the calendar that I work by is the same calendar as all other teachers. So we're paid for 197 days. You get usually about 2 weeks off at Christmas and a week off at Easter, and typically a week in February, depending on how the calendar works out. And there are some Fridays in some schools, some of the non-school Friday schools, so the alternate school year schools have a Friday off, and I don't get any of those off. So I work the full 197 days on the days. My day is based on a 7.5 hour day. Usually ends up being a little bit longer than that. So usually on an office day, I start around 7:30 and I'm done about 4:30. Sometimes it takes a couple of hours because I'm kind of at the south end of our school division. If I was in the middle, it'd be a little bit different, but it sometimes takes a couple hours to get to some of the schools furthest away from me. So I might hop in the car at 6 o'clock or thereabouts. And sometimes I stay late depending on parent schedules and timetables and things like that. So to accommodate people, sometimes I'll stay a little bit later than that. Sometimes I'll do before or after school meetings, lunch hour, whatever it might be. And again, our holidays follow the school calendar, and I wish I got paid overtime, but I don't. So there is no overtime pay for teachers. In terms of opportunities in the field, there are all kinds of variations across the province for access to career counseling. I don't know of every school division's individual situation, but ultimately school divisions are responsible for staffing of people like me. So in some school divisions, there are people who teach part of a day, and then they do career counseling in 1 or 2 schools, or just in their own school and maybe a couple other ones. Some are like me and they are all over the place. Some have a person like me, and then that person helps teachers who are given like say a 10% of their day. They would do career counseling with just their students in that school. So there's all kinds of different variations around the province. When I first started in 2007, there were quite a large number of career counselors as compared to what we have now. Over the years, a lot of school divisions have received cuts to education, and I would say that the number of people is, like I said, quite a bit lower than it used to be. And in some schools, there's nothing at all, and principals have to do all the career counseling. It's kind of like what it used to be. In terms of advancement from this position to something else, there's not really, I guess, a superintendent job or a principalship would be sometimes on other consultant jobs, like a learning consultant, student support consultant maybe, or something like that, could be something that people in this position would aspire to do later. But there's no sort of a direct line from this job to any other ones. It's just sort of whatever people might want to do. And some people end up going into a principalship. In terms of I guess one other last thing too with that is some of the city schools have career counselors, and usually it's kind of Saskatoon, Regina, and Moose Jaw, some of the bigger schools. Some of the career counselors are also crisis counselors, and some people they do a little bit of both of those things. In most of the city schools of the people I've run into, they kind of do a little bit of both. Alrighty, I think that's everything I need to tell you about my job. Are there any questions out there?
So Jeff, in the course of a year, in a rural school division, sounds like you're putting on about 25,000 kilometers on your vehicle.
Yeah, it would be around that. It's probably a little bit less than that. I just kind of grabbed a number or two, but yeah, I would say probably in that range. I haven't actually had a full year in the vehicle. This will be my first one because last year I ended up doing a lot of these by Zoom. So I did get to do a classroom visit with everybody last year, but I didn't get to do the individual one. So I can't remember when I did the job before. I didn't have as many schools because there was 2 of us instead of just 1. But yeah, I would say probably we'd be knocking on 20 grand.
So has technology helped you with the distance barriers that you experience in the division?
Yeah, I would say, well, in a couple ways. The first one is that I used to haul a lot of paper around the view books and stuff. I would haul like 100 pounds of books and stuff with me when I first started doing it, because a lot of the internet sites post-secondary sites were terrible and they weren't easy to navigate, and it was really difficult to just open up things and show students really quickly. Now I carry the stuff that I print or that I've made for students, and I don't carry a whole bunch more with me. It's just not useful. In terms of the Zoom stuff, yeah, it'd be nice. I found that last year it was difficult it's a little bit easier if you just go in person and walk down the hall and grab a student and say, hey, come on, let's have a chat, versus having them kind of sign up for a Zoom meeting. So it makes it a little easier to be in person. But I can't, I'd be lying if I said when it was, minus 500 last week and I would have to not go anywhere and do a Zoom instead of having to drive a couple hours. It was certainly a lot nicer to do a Zoom than to have to get in the car and drive somewhere. But I certainly like the in-person stuff a lot better than the meeting over a computer.
So Jeff, I had 2 kind of questions that came up. Thinking of your PD budget to go to conferences and stuff like that, is there a formula or do you get a dollar allotment, or how does that work?
There, I believe, is a dollar allotment, and I honestly haven't looked into it because there wasn't any PD to go to last year, and I didn't look this year. But there used to be it was a dollar figure, and then for people who were further away from, it was kind of connected to the one in our school division. There's a bit of a tweak to the formula. If you live so many miles away or kilometers away from Moose Jaw or something like that, just to get to Regina or Saskatoon for a conference, the mileage would take up most of your PD allotment. So I think I get a little bit more because I'm a little further, a couple hours away from Moose Jaw or from Regina.
And the other one was just to clarify, so you get compensation for your mileage.
Yes.
Just so someone watching out here doesn't think you're just on your own for that.
I don't drive around for free. We get paid, currently it's 42 cents a kilometer. So that kind of, depending on the price of fuel, that covers your fuel and then the odd oil change and things like that. So.
I don't have any more questions, guys.
Yeah, I think I'm good too. Thank you, Jeff, for spending your time with us. Hope the students find this interesting, and if they're interested in that kind of career, they've got some idea where they're headed.
For sure, pass. I'd be happy to take any other questions from anybody with send me an email or track me down somewhere, and I'll be happy to answer questions.
Thanks, Jeff.
You're very welcome. Thanks for setting it up.